Data King 1. My name is Andrew and I'll be your instructor all through this Excel series for beginners to advanced. Welcome again to Data King 1. Now today we will be discussing or we will be doing a little calculations with formulas. We will be using formulas in Excel. So let's get right into it. Now, we have a table that has revenue, expenses, net income budget, and we also have assumptions where EX stands for expenses as a percentage of revenue. This ROEV actually stands for revenue. Okay. Now, when anytime we have assumptions, means we can actually use any values. We are assuming, so we are using what we call dummy values, dummy variables. You can create any values on your own. Now, let's assume, but what this particular project is all about is for us to know how to use formulas in Excel, okay? So now we have been able to know how to navigate Excel, now we start doing real projects directly. All right, let's go straight into it. Now, revenue. For revenue, for January, we have January, February, March, and we have total, right? Okay, so for January, let's assume we have 900, okay? Then for February, let's assume we have 1,200. For February, let's assume we have 1,200. For March, let's assume we have 1,500 as our revenue. So let's assume they are in dollars. So what I will do is, just as we have always done, we highlight here, we go to general, and we click this particular dollar sign. So when we click the dollar sign, it will automatically update. You can see it has updated here. So this is one thing we need to learn. And when we are in dollar sign, means we are doing what? Accounting. Okay. So to make this more reasonable, I would like to remove all these zeros. So what can I do? I can also highlight every one of them. Go to this particular stage here. You will see we have decreased decimal. So I have two decimal places in 00 in all of them. So I can actually do them once by clicking 1, 2. So when I click twice, I've been able to remove the decimal and it's okay like that. So I like this formation that my revenue is. All right. Now, let's create an assumption. Let's say that we have an assumption of 0.565. Okay, this is just for learning purpose. Okay, so now let's assume that we have an assumption of 0.565, or let me take my assumption to two decimal places. Let's assume that we have an assumption of 0.55 as a percentage of our what? Revenue. So what do we do? So to get our expenses, we can actually, so to get our expenses, we have expenses as a percentage of revenue. So if we have 0.55 as a percentage of this 900 to give our expenses, so we start our formula by using the magic word equals to. In Excel, when you use equals to, means you want to do a calculation. You want to actually put a formula and it will appear here. You can see when I put this equals to sign, you can see it appearing over here. Let me also expand this for us to see it. When I use the equals to sign here, it's going to show here. So this is our formula bar. Any formulas we write in the cell here will definitely show above here. And when we make correction or edit or adjust here, it will also show in the cell. So they are interconnected. Okay, now let's go on. Since expenses is a percentage of our revenue and we have an assumption of 0.55, so what we do is we click on our revenue, which is 900. You can see it B2, that is the cell, multiplied by our assumption, which is 0.55. So when we click enter, and you can see our expenses is 495. This simply means that as out of 900 revenue that we got, 495 expenses was made, because we have assumed that our expenses is 0.55% of the revenue. So that gives us 495. Now, normally in Excel, we can actually do for February, March, we can do this calculation for February, March, but sometimes you may have information that are much. So how do you do this? Do you have to start calculating each column at a go? No, that is going to be very, very tedious. So Excel has actually given us a lot of functions to do these calculations easily, and we can easily get our. So I'm going to use equals to, I'll click on revenue, which is 900, minus sign, okay, minus sign, then I'll click on expenses. So this only says that this minus this, so B2 minus B3, okay. So when I press enter, and you can see 405. So from this, I can also drag it to the right, and it will fill automatic. So instead of me doing column C separately, D separately, I will just drag it to the right, and it will fill. So let's see, when I double click it, you can see it's telling me that C2 minus C3. This means this minus this. And when I come to this particular cell, you can also see when I double click is D2 minus D3, means 1005 minus 825. So our formulas are working perfectly. Now for total, I can actually get the total value by adding all this up to get our total revenue, and also adding all the information on this horizontal line, which is the row, to get also the total expenses, subtract both of them to subtract the total expenses from the total revenue. I will get also the total net income, okay, net income budget. So let's do that also. Now to do this, for me to add all this together in this row, you can see this is just 3. It's easy, I can do it. But when I have a very long values in the rows, when I have maybe row A, when I have maybe column A to column Z, you can imagine how many calculation I can be doing manually. So Excel has actually made this so simple. So for us to add everything together, I'll use equals to sign, then I'll go to this particular value here. So what to do is, let me walk you through it. You are going to go to home. When you go to home, you look at this top end, you will see this sign called auto sum. So auto sum, when you click it, you have a drop down, means you can actually use auto sum for average, count of number, that's the number of values in a particular data, maximum value, the minimum value, okay. There are still more functions, but let me stick to this. So we are going to use auto sum. So we want to do calculation we are doing sum, okay, that is addition. So I'm going to click that. All right, and when I click it, you can see automatically it updates here, because I've already clicked on the cell. This is where I put my equals to, so that is where it will come. And it has taken a range from B2 to D2. So B2, when you have this double dot here separating B2 to D2, means that it is actually a range. So it has taken, you can see this is B2 900 to 15. So the next thing is I'll just hit enter, and you can see 3,600. Excel makes it so easy, means it has been able to calculate everything by this row to this point. So for those who are new in Excel, this is so easy. So you continue to practice this simple stuff, and you become so perfect. So now, just as I did earlier on, I'm also going to feed the expenses. I'm going to feed the net income. So what I will do is just to drag it down. So when I drag it down, it's going to fill this E3, and it's going to fill this E4. So now let's go to the little dot here. You see that is where we do all our editing. So I'm going to double click, and you can see it fills it up automatic. Even if you say 3,600 minus 1,980, you get 1,620. This is so lovely. This is beauty of Excel. Now, assumption is something you can always use. You know, because we have already have this model, we can actually do any changes here, and it will appear, it will automatically change here. Let's say, for example, our assumption is, let's say, 0.44. Okay, if I hit enter, you can see automatically everything moves here. Okay, if I said our assumption is 0.22, and I hit enter, you can see it changes. Okay, so any assumption we put here is going to change that. All right, so thank you so much for being with me on this particular video. This is the end of part 3 of our Excel for beginners to advanced. Join me in part 4, and please don't forget to always share our video, comment on our video, like and subscribe our video. It's going to go a long way to help us bring in more new content. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye bye.